Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Last First Date Radio, featuring interviews with experts in dating, relating, and mating in midlife. And now, here's your host, Sandy Weiner.
Hello, everybody. This is Sandy, and I am the founder and chief love officer at Last First Date. I'm so glad you joined us today. I am devoted to helping women and men achieve healthy, off-the-charts love in the second half of life, and we have a really great show coming up for you today. I'm going to be speaking to relationship coach, speaker, and author Brian Reeves about the essentials of masculine-feminine dynamics in intimate relationships. This is one of my favorite topics. I'm so excited to bring you Brian today. And as a dating coach, I specialize in helping mostly women date as the high-value women that they are in every other part of their lives. And when a woman or a man knows their true worth, they attract their most aligned partners. And the women who come to me for support are generally really high-functioning, out in the work world. They're really good moms. They struggle with relationships, as do men, and Brian deals with both men and women and couples. So we're going to talk about that today a little bit. But relationships are not so easy. They're very different. You can be a really, really high-achieving person and really struggle with relationships. And what I have found through my work with thousands of clients is that people tend to make the same mistakes over and over and over again until they get pointed out to them, because we can't see ourselves clearly. So what I've done is I have outlined the top 3 mistakes that midlife daters make and how you can turn them around to find love. And there are actionable tips that you can actually take action on right away. And if you haven't signed up for it yet, I'd love for you to go get a copy on my website. It's on my homepage, lastfirstdate.com. Just sign up on my homepage. You'll get a copy right away because I want you to go on your last first date. Brian Reeves is a former U.S. Air Force captain turned author, coach, and speaker. He has triumphed through multiple dark nights of the soul after hurling himself into the transformational fires of intimate relationships over and over again. He has a master's degree in human relations and a massive insight that he gleaned through countless adventures. Brian coaches men, women, and couples in creating thriving lives and relationships. He's a regular blog contributor to Good Men Project, as I am. He contributes to Elephant Journal, Raw Attraction Magazine, and more. He wrote a book called The Sex, Flirting, Dating, Hunting, and Hoping Diet, and it's on Amazon. And I am thrilled to have Brian with us today. Welcome to the show, Brian.
Hi, Sandy. So good to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. So masculine, feminine dynamics. Let's first define what is masculine, what's feminine, and what are the fundamental dynamics?
Well, yeah, great question. Let's just blow up the notion. It's going to be very triggering because people immediately associate masculinity with man and femininity with woman. And that's not at all what we're talking about here. And so I'm glad you asked that, so we just get that right out of the bat. And dispel that. It does not mean man or woman. It's masculine and feminine. They're just energy. Another word we could use for that is yin and yang. And there's a lot of different ways of representing just the duality of the human experience, right? Up, down, left, right, black, white, inside, outside, et cetera, masculine, feminine, yin, yang. I feel better already. Okay. That is very triggering for people, and yet it's so important, I've found, because my ignorance of the masculine and feminine dynamic in relationships, the ignorance has cost me so much in terms of joy and enthusiasm for being in relationship at all. It's like we practice our relationships in an adversarial dynamic, not realizing that we're partners in this exquisite dance of opposites, really, right? We go into relationship to experience this dance of duality, this masculine, feminine, yin, yang exchange of energies, because in that, I love using the yin-yang symbol, and I realize I'm kind of off and running already, Sandy, but I think this is just kind of laying the foundation for what we're really doing here. We go and we engage in intimate relationship. The reason they're different from friendships, friendships are very different because, in an intimate relationship, we are doing this exchange of opposing energies, the masculine and feminine. That's why it's so juicy. And if you look at the yin-yang symbol, it's in the shape of a circle, right? It's like that oneness symbol, and the masculine and feminine are the two components of that oneness. So we transcend our limited human nature in this dance of intimate energy exchange. And we literally experience the divine. Through sexuality or intimate relating, we can experience our transcendent nature. That's what's possible for us, but the way we do it is so adversarial. And so I'm laying the groundwork because intimate relationships are I love doing work in intimate relationship and having these conversations because it's a pathway to awakening to the truth of who we are. If we're open, if we're willing to look closely at ourselves and what we're doing. Anyway, I'm going to stop there because I could just talk for 30 minutes and then be over.
Okay.
And I don't want to do that.
I know. Well, I love the symbol of the oneness, and actually my logo is a yin-yang symbol because I loved it so much, and I think it's so essential to relationships as well. Mine is in the shape of a heart, but it's a play on the yin-yang. And I think that people who are not familiar with what you're talking about may be still scratching their heads. So I just want you to take a moment to define masculine energy and feminine energy, because we're saying, okay, masculine is not man, feminine is not woman. What are they?
So, and just I want to acknowledge, I come from, in my own ignorance, probably 6 years ago, I started really waking up to this, and I started studying authors like, of course, David Deida, Alison Armstrong, even Pat Allen. There's a lot of really interesting work out there around these relational dynamics. And so what I really woke up to is how masculine energy is that energy in all of us, men and women, that is driving us towards a mission, that wants to solve problems, right? The great gift of masculine energy is that it lives, it's that in us that wants to solve a problem, that looks at the world and evaluates, puts it into a kind of an analysis, like takes an analytical approach to the world, a rational analytical approach to the world, and then seeks to arrange it in a certain way. So, it's why masculine expression shows up in business, right? Because you solve a problem in business, you make money. Your company grows. In science, masculine energy. You solve a technical problem, we go to the stars, right? The mission is to go to the stars. In sports, look at sports, right? Sport is nothing other than human beings who have created a problem to solve, right? In sports, this trips me out about sports, actually. You look at men running up and down a basketball court, or women running up and down a basketball court, putting a little ball in a hoop. All they're doing is solving the problem of the defense, and they put the ball in the hoop, and everyone goes crazy because they solved the problem. And then they just start over and do it all over again, right? Just solving problems. Right. That's the masculine energy. Can I solve the problem better than you can? That's what sports is. Whoever solves the problem the best and the fastest and the most wins the championship. That's it. All we're doing is solving problems. So that's masculine nature. Now, feminine, on the other side, the feminine nature is that which values connection, right? Our femininity in us doesn't care about solving problems. There are no problems. The only problem is if I don't feel connected in this moment, right? So that feminine nature in us is that which seeks simply to connect, right? In relationship terms, you have the old cliche of, and again, in a heterosexual context, but in that old cliche of a woman wanting to connect with her partner, and she's sharing like a challenge she had during the day, or some. Again, I'm a man, so I'm more identified with masculine energy, and so I'm going to use the word problem. She's going to share a problem, and the guy wants to solve it because the gift of his masculine expression. That's how he expresses love, is I'm going to solve your problem. But she doesn't want her problem solved. She just wants him to listen, right? Wants to connect. She's in it for the experience of connection. It doesn't actually matter if this problem gets solved from the purely feminine perspective. She just wants to connect with her partner, right? A person identified with the masculine, they don't understand what the hell is going on. They don't understand why can't we just solve this problem. If we solve this problem, then we'll be free of the problem and everything will be great. Whereas she's in the orientation of, look, if you just feel me, if you just connect with me, then everything will be great. Who cares about the problem?
Right.
Right? So that's just kind of a basic, making it kind of real how those dualities play out, and our misunderstanding of what's going on, our lack of awareness around this, has a masculine person really frustrated that why don't you just let me solve the damn problem, or stop talking to me about your problem if you're not going to let me solve it. I have other problems to solve, or there's no actual problem. So we get crazy. And likewise, what I understand, what I've really learned, saying kind of sum this up in a very succinct way that seems to resonate with a lot of folks. And again, this is a heterosexual context, but men tend to think of women as intellectually defective versions of men, and women tend to think of men as emotionally defective versions of women. So in other words, like I hear a lot of women talking about how they're and this can be reversed too. It's not about man woman. It's just that seems to be a predominant way that this shows up is a lot of women are really upset that their partners aren't emotionally available. Like the cliche of the emotionally unavailable man. Right, even in relationship, like when he doesn't show up, emotionally he's not present. Right, and then you have on the other side of that coin, you have a lot of men complaining that their women don't make any damn sense. That she just makes up problems. There's no problem here. She's just making shit up. She's just telling stories, or she's changing the rules on me. We'll solve this problem, and then another one pops over here. I can't make her happy. She's crazy.
Right. So how do we solve this problem? Because women are definitely not intellectually defective versions of men, and men are not emotionally defective versions of women. Men can be very emotionally connected, and women can be incredibly intellectual. In fact, a lot of the women who come to me have so much masculine energy that they forget about their feminine energy altogether, and that's, I think, one of the biggest issues. I just reviewed a profile of a beautiful woman who was a professor. Her whole profile was about doing and accomplishing, and and I said, you're this gorgeous, sexy woman, but I don't see it in the words that you're saying at all. And so we need to, bump that up because, but a lot of women think, okay, that means I have to dumb myself down, and that's not at all what we're saying. It's that you can be both. So can you talk a little to how people can balance this? Because I think that polarity that we need to feel in order to have that sexual dynamic is often missing today. And especially as roles have changed, and I usually talk about that at the beginning of my show, one of the biggest issues in dating is that women come across as still with their work ethic. I'm competing. I'm on a date with you, and I want to one-up you, and men walk away going, what the hell? I don't want to date her. I want to maybe hire her. So how can we solve the problem?
Well, I think what I'm really waking up to myself is it's really all about staying connected to our hearts, man or woman, connected to our hearts and getting awareness. I think we're becoming. It's not like women have to just learn how to be more feminine and men have to learn to be more masculine. No, I think it's really good that women have developed more of their masculine energy in the last 100 years. That's a good thing. I think men are catching up. Men are a little behind because we haven't really been, let's say, just society, I think, hasn't conspired to force us to embrace more of our feminine energy. But that's happening now. That's happening. Men have no choice, I think, because of the internet. We're having to be more sensitive to how our business decisions, let's say, affect the community, right? how our politics affect the community. I mean, we can't get away with stuff that we used to be able to get away with that was totally exploitative and purely driven in that kind of masculine mode towards accomplishment. We just can't get away with it anymore. So we're having to take more stock of more embracing of feminine energy, both internally and therefore externally in the world. So it's a good thing. But I think getting awareness around this like that, and I also, Sandy, see that a lot where women are, look, I want an intelligent, brilliant, even rational-minded woman. I want that. However, I also want a woman who's deeply in touch with her feminine expression, deeply embodied, that just, isn't always focused on, how how is this going to be productive? Like I'm about to run off into another direction. I'm going to just reel myself back in.
Okay.
I think, what we're doing is I think what's possible for us is to become at the mastery of how we wield our masculine and feminine energy. So, for example, a woman who wants to have a career and wants to be successful in business. Well, that's a place where masculine energy is very helpful. But I think that should be tempered by feminine expression. In other words, even making business decisions, bringing love into the context of which is a love and connection. Like, so how is my decision affecting my community? Not just my bottom line, not just my shareholders, but how does this affect the people that it serves? How does this affect the product life cycle? I think bringing feminine energy is so important in the world, everywhere, and that's going to show up then in our relationships. So in a relationship, a woman who's really connected to both her feminine and masculine can say, okay, what kind of dance do I want to do with my partner? Do I want to play the masculine role where I'm going to be much more mindful, like let's say I'll take care of the finances, or I'll decide, I want to decide where we go to dinner and kind of do all those things. Well, that's fine. But then you're going to likely attract a partner and have a partner who's going to be more in his feminine. He's going to be probably softer and be more in the nurturing and be more surrendered to your direction, let's say. And so I think it's just a question of what do you want to experience? What gift do you want to offer in a relationship, and what do you want to receive? And the more we can just get awareness around, who are we truly in our hearts? I mean, I'm a more masculine person, I believe. I feel really connected to and identified with my masculine energy. I have a lot of drive, ambition. I'm competitive, and I love to express what I want, and then to claim it as long as it wants to be claimed. And I enjoy that, and I want a partner who's going to remind me to eat, who's going to help me take care of my body, because I forget in my masculine drive to work. I literally forget to eat, and I want a partner who's going to bring that element of embodiment, which again to me is a hallmark of a feminine offering. She's going to remind me, hey, slow down, be here, connect to your body. What does your body need right now? Let's go get a massage. Right here, eat something nourishing. Right? I want that. I'm not going to really offer that to a partner, because that's not a natural mode for me. I'm not going to offer that feminine expression to a partner. So if I have a masculine partner, two of us are kind of in our masculine mode, none of us are going to fucking eat.
Right.
I mean, I'm talking an extreme, but I don't want that. I can do that with other guys when my men friends or women who are kind of more in their masculine. Let's work on projects, and we'll drive, and we'll just we'll just rock it through the day. But when I come home, I want a woman, even if she's been working all day. I personally want a relationship where my woman helps me come back into my body, because she is embodied and she's offering that gift. And does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense to me. I think that what I'm seeing, especially in people over 40, I think the dynamics tend to be a little bit different when you're dealing with people, like say my clients are dealing with retired men who are done with the competition. They want to just kind of lay back, and the women are amping up on their competitive edge. A lot of them are discovering new careers, and I mean that's what happened to me. It's happened to a lot of my colleagues, and so I think there's a lot of confusion about gender roles, and you know, the women who show up as having all this masculine energy, they really often want a partner with a lot of masculine energy. And so I think that you have to decide, like Pat Allen talks about it very clearly, what do you want? Do you want to be cherished, or do you want to be you know, cherished for your feelings or respected for your thoughts? I think that's the way she puts it. And that really gave me pause, because I think at the end of the day, I do want to be cherished for my feelings, but I also want to be really respected for my thoughts. She calls you her client. If you want both, she says you're my client. Go ahead. Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Because
no, and I think
you're
that
pointing,
a lot of people
you're pointing at the challenge right there. A lot of people want both.
They want both, and yet they're really turned off by the partner who shows up with, you know, too much of like, you take care of the plans, and it's like, you know, why can't you just pick a damn place for us to go out? You know, why do I have to do all the deciding? And so I think part of it is also making the space, and that's something I've learned. You have to create that space, and when you've been in relationships that are not working, and especially if you've been in a long-term marriage where you began to take over more and more of the masculine energy roles, as a woman, I'm speaking as a woman, and this is a common occurrence, then the trust that a man will actually show up if you create that space is hard to come back to. And so do you have any suggestions as to how people can, you know, kind of create that space and create the trust that somebody's going to come and, you know, fill the role that you really want them to fill?
Yes. Well, what most people are doing is they're trying to fill themselves up from an outside source. And that's just always going to be disappointing for the most part, unless you happen to get that one person that really, you know, fits your blueprint, your external blueprint of what perfection looks like, unless they fit it perfectly. And that just doesn't seem to be the overwhelming way this happens. And so, you know, most of us are running around with the story of, I'm looking for someone to complete me, right? I want someone to complete me. And that's just, I think that is one of the most destructive cultural narratives that we hold in modern culture, that there's someone out there who's going to complete me. And you know, we're addicted to the hope, and then when we decide that that's just never going to happen, then our heart is broken into oh, it'll never happen. I'll never, you know, cynicism. I mean, I got a comment on my blog yesterday from a woman who said that she spent the last year coming to terms with the fact, these are her words, I spent the last year coming to terms with the fact that no one will ever love me for who I am.
Oh boy. Wow.
And she's resigned, and she's resigned herself to a life of loneliness and despair because she's not worthy of love. And I got that comment yesterday. And this is what most people are kind of living in that place. And even if you do get someone who it seems like they'll love you for who you are, then all of a sudden they do something and then they don't love you for who you are, and you're distraught and despairing, and then you turn to manipulation or anger to get them to show up a certain way. It's, you know, wash, rinse, repeat. It's the same insanity over and over and over again. It's just the question, does it play out quickly or does it take years? And so
you're looking for evidence. You're looking for evidence to support your belief.
And so what I've been moving, yes, I do relationship coaching and I work with couples. And yet what I find the predominant kind of the core issue, even beyond the masculine feminine dynamic stuff, is, are you in this moment, are you living with a mindset of fear or a mindset of love? Are you coming from fear in how you're interacting with this person? Fear being, you know, scarcity, you're going to leave me, I'm not worthy, you're responsible for my happiness, whatever, all these fear-based thoughts. Or are you in a mindset of love? I'm already worthy. I don't need you to make me happy. You're free to choose as you will. right? I mean, a mindset of love versus a mindset of fear changes everything. And then, I mean, that's really at the core of it. So, someone who's looking for someone to fill them up, to love them because they don't love themselves, I mean, it's not going to work.
No.
And this is, I think, in the whole relationship and dating world, I'm very clear. When I work with a couple, I let them know right off the bat, I have no attachment or even agenda for whether the two of you are supposed to stay together. Because I don't know what would serve your highest good. My parents divorced when I was 4 years old, and that was the best thing that could have happened to any of us. And so, I think we place such a premium on being in a couple as though it's more valuable and more valued being in a couple than being single, and I think that's a lie. Why does that make you a more worthy person or more, socially acceptable to be in a couple than being single? I mean, again, this is all a product of that story, you complete me, right?
Yep.
That we suffer for.
Yeah. I actually just wrote about that for my last Good Men Project article. I wrote about all the wrong reasons to get into a relationship, and one is you have that mindset of, somebody's going to complete you. It's definitely one of the worst reasons to get into a relationship because it's a fallacy. And so it's, it really does start within, and people have to learn to love themselves and come from that place of abundance.
Totally, and just to really land that, because you'd started this conversation by asking, how do people attract that person, that will fill those needs or play those roles. And look, Sandy, I've been single for 5 years. I mean, I've dated a lot and I've grown so much, but who the hell am I to say how you I've tried everything to bring in that woman that would kind of so-called complete me or the partner that I could do the dance with. I've tried everything. It's like it's on God's time. It's on life's time. I don't know when that person's supposed to arrive, but what I do know is that the more I just create an amazing life for myself every day and practice radical self-love and just lighten myself up by loving on myself and giving myself, doing the work that I love, going to the places that I love, really taking care of myself and just doing what fills me up, the more I already attract amazing women. And then it's just a question of, well, maybe timing and compatibility, a few things here and there, but that's the recipe essentially. Just create an amazing life, stay connected to your own heart, do what's true for you, and the person that can, the more I'm able to love myself and therefore love others, the more I'm going to attract someone who will meet me in that place.
Yep.
Right?
I so agree with you.
If I'm empty,
your self-esteem.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Please, go ahead. Well, it's just the more I'm empty and showing up needy in the world, the more I'm going to attract empty and needy, or someone who just wants to take and take because all I'm going to do is give to get, and I'm just going to attract what I'm putting out. I mean, it really does work like that.
Oh, it definitely works like that. And you see, as soon as you shift, you start shifting who you draw in. So
absolutely.
Yeah, this has been so wonderful, Brian. I really appreciate all of this, and it just went so fast as we thought it would.
So quick.
And so tell everybody how they can reach you and buy your book.
So my website is brianreeves.com, Brian with a Y, Reeves.com, and sure, my book is on Amazon, The Sex, Dating, Flirting, Hunting, and Hoping Diet, Give Up the Insanity and Get Your Life Back. It's a 30-day kind of reset on how you show up in relationship to the sex of your attraction and how to get your center back. Sandy, this has been really great. I knew this would go fast.
Well, thank you, and I look forward to connecting with you further, and thank you,
Likewise.
Everyone, for listening in today, and go buy his book and connect with Brian, and I hope you all go on your last first date very soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.